Well, hey, yes, look who it is. It's not only rock review time. I'm going to explain in a second what it is. But we're so on the money. You're in there, mate. We're so on the money. We're doing Marvel Avengers. It's only just launched. How cool is this? So, for those of you new to the show, and thank you if you are for popping in, hit the old like and the subscribe and tell all your friends. What we do with the Rock Review, which is different from any other review system, is we look at it purely from the perspective of casual gamers, busy people, and those that are new to cloud gaming and Stadia in particular. So we look at 5 things, and those 5 things are: 1, as he lines up his show notes. Number 1, how quickly can you get into the game? So obviously, if you're busy and your time is incredibly precious, as is the case with most of us, you don't want to be sat there for 10 hours waiting for a game to load. Can you pick up from where you left off? How easy is it to actually play? Because again, not putting down any of our abilities to play any games, but if you've got limited time, there are some games that are so complex, they take hours and hours to just fully understand all the nuances. So the ability to play is important. Is it rewarding? And finally, is it value for money? Now, the way we play this, let me just replace that, is I play the part of a pro subscriber, and Duncan plays the part of a free subscriber. He's a bit of a, he's a bit of a freeloader. So we both come up with our points based on the view of people that are subscribing already, and therefore we get some perks, and the people that aren't, and they have to buy stuff and don't necessarily get the same kind of perks. So let's start with our first point, and while we do that, Duncan, I will go and start the video. This video, by the way, folks, is Duncan playing the deluxe version on, when did it come out? Tuesday?
Yes, it came out on Tuesday. And again, just to be absolutely fair with this rock review we're doing, I was giving a free copy, a press copy by Square Enix, so you can take that whatever way you want. I think it's better to be upfront to say I got a copy for free off Square Enix, but I'm going to try and be down the line with this as well. It's just, I think it's better so people know.
So how quickly can we get into the game?
For me, I'm giving this a 4. I've played this on PlayStation 4 Pro. I've played it a bit on Xbox as well, and this is a game you can get really quick into compared to all the other platforms. You load it up, and if you die a lot like me in games, the loading screen's a hell of a lot faster as well in the Stadia version, so you can get into the game really quick, and you can. I'm really enjoying this game, and it's just a fun game you can just dip out from. I think it's pretty up there. It's pretty good in that regard.
So I was a little bit less generous than you, Duncan, because for me there's a couple of things that annoyed me. One was there's a plate, I'll call it a screen that pops up during the load up, where it shows all of the licenses that have been used in the making of the game, and everyone that has any kind of hand in the whole thing, and you can't move on from it, and it's there for like a minute or longer, I forget now, but that annoys me. I can literally pop out the room and come back and it's still there. And then you get a screen where you've got various choices. That's okay, because you can do multiplayer and so on. I get that, I understand it. And I also get with a game of this scale that there has to be some level of loading, even on Stadia. But I just wish that I could have moved on from that screen and then maybe, had something else to keep me visually entertained. Because, butterfly brain and all that stuff, mate. So I gave it a 3. But I know I'm having heard what you said. I'd need to go in and time it. But it is a big game, so you kind of have to expect to a degree that you're going to get that kind of thing. So next, can you pick it up from where you leave off?
See, for me, you can for the majority. Sorry, this is a bit more difficult. It's like uh, it's a bit like Destiny 2, but if you're playing the campaign, it does do regular save points. But if you're playing the multiplayer aspect and you're in a team, it won't because you've lost your team. So it's a bit of both. But for me, I'm giving this a 4 because you can pick up more or less. If you're playing the single player campaign, you can. And when you actually get into the bigger missions and whatnot, some of these missions you know exactly how long they're going to take. Some of them take about 5 minutes, and some of them take 2 hours. So you'll be able to work out if you've got time enough to play these levels going forward. So I'm reasonably happy. Can you pick up where you left off? So I gave this a 4.
Yeah, now as you know, I'm a massive campaign over multiplayer player. I mean, I will literally play Call of Duty campaign and put it back in the box at that point. Sad but true. So I don't always get to that point. I do play a lot of co-op stuff. I love Destiny. I love Division. Again, Elder Scrolls Online. Any games where there are other folk, but not games where I'm up against other folk. They just don't interest me. So far, I've only played the campaign, but I was astounded at the fact that you literally go back to exactly the point you left. Unless you're in the middle of a cutscene, in which case it'll start from the beginning of the cutscene. But so many times I decided just before a battle, I'm going to call it at this point because it is a virtually continuous battle. This game, you're rarely out of some kind of conflict. So I would say, right, okay, I'm going to stop here. I'd come back and I'd be straight at the same place I left it. So for me, that's a 5, and you've given it a 4. Thank you very much. Well, that's pretty cool. Then we have, where's my mouse gone? There it is. Next up, we have, how easy is it to play?
For the majority of it, absolutely easy. You just jump in, just play. And the feature I really, really like about this game is that you can actually change your equipment without having to think about it. It's perfect for casual sort of gamers. You just hold back one of the, I think it's the left stick or the left trigger or the right trigger, and it automatically upgrades your gear to the best possible spec.
Yeah.
It's, I don't want to say it holds your hand the whole way through. You do have to actually think about what you're going to do in places. There's some more advanced techniques which if you're playing in normal or the hard mode, you do actually have to think and adapt and do your blockings and your that sort of thing, and working out how to actually kill some of the baddies. So more or less, it is extremely easy to play. I'm giving that a 4.
Yeah, I what did I think? I thought that it was, I mean, it was just dead easy to play. There's, it doesn't go out of its way to make itself complex, even to the point, and you may have just covered this off, sorry, I was mucking about with chat, even to the point where when you do get your gear to level up your character, it gives you have to hold down L2 and it decides for you what your best quality gear is. I mean, that's what I love that in a game anyway, because I like to make other people do the work in my business. So if I could get a game to do half the job for me, I'm happy. I thought it was very easy to play. I mean, look, it's not Tetris. There is a degree of complexity to it, but it doesn't go out of its way to hide stuff and make it difficult. If anything, if I was to even be a little bit negative, I would say to a degree, if you play it on easy mode, it plays very easily. I mean, you are almost handheld through the whole game. It's almost like almost a linear route in truth. Very easy to play. I mean, this is a very this fits right up there on that one. And then finally, I think there's 2 more. I'm sorry, mate, it's early. Is it rewarding to play, Duncan?
Yes, it is. I'm really enjoying this, and you can level up your character. You can go out and find all the gear you want to do. You've got skins to unlock if you want to go down that route. There's just so much to do, and you're running about playing a superhero the whole game. Basically,
Yeah.
it is just a real lot of fun. It is really really rewarding. I've just realised I've marked this down lower than I should for this, but the only caveat is further you get on, there's more things to do, and you may get a little bit confused on what you need to do. So I'm giving it a 4, but I really should have given it a 5. But I'm going to stick with my 4.
Thank you, because I don't want to be reworking my overlays at this point, mate. That's very good of you. Yeah, it's very rewarding, isn't it? I mean, it is, at its heart, it's a looter shooter. You're constantly picking stuff up. You're constantly progressing your characters. I mean, there are screens and screens of stuff that you can get. Pick up comics, codex, skills for your character, weapons and armory. I mean, it goes on and on and on and on. In terms of rewarding, you're virtually spoiled to death on this game. There's if there was a 6, I'd give it a 6, because it is as rewarding as they could possibly get. So you regret giving it a 4 and give it a phantom 5. I give it a 5. I think we both pretty much agree on that one. So finally, this is a true finally. Is it value for money, Duncan?
Okay, time to be controversial. I don't think it is. Even though I'm a massive, massive fan of this game, what has actually rubbed me up the wrong way is for us over here in the UK, it is a £60 game, which is one of the few titles which is actually on Stadia which have actually went up to the full £60, and that's just for the standard version of the game. If it was £50, I would actually knock it up a point or two, but I don't like how the game prices are edging up, even though that's the way things are going. It just seems to be a big bump up there, which I'm a bit funny about. I'm not. It's a value for money. You're going to spend absolutely ages in the game. If you like it, you're going to be playing this for years to come. The only reason I'm marking it down is because of its £60, and that's why I'm giving it a 2.
Yeah, I felt exactly the same way. And in fact, for me, it was insult to injury, because it's $60. So that we're not even getting the advantage of differences in currency. We should be paying about between 55 and 58 if you do the currency conversion. Now, having said that, I always run to the defense of this one, because we also have our tax built into prices, where in the States, of course, it can be different depending on what state you're in. So the price they pay can change, but it is still, traditionally, you'd expect a game like this to be about 55. I know it's only $5, but I did feel that it was on the high side. And looking in chat, I think we're getting pretty much the same as well. It's again the magic numbers, and in this game it's all about the emotional kick in. So if that figure is too high, and let's not, they're lucky in a sense they're releasing it now. Give it another 3 or 4 weeks, with the amount of new games that are coming out, with the fact that people are going to start putting out there for Christmas. Black Fridays are coming up and so on. I think this is the only point between now and the end of the year where they could get away with a full price on a game like this. So, is it value for money? The truth is no. I think it's a little bit pricey, but you do get a lot for your money. It is an incredibly well-polished game, and you can see the graphics here. The cutscenes are built using the inbuilt graphics, which is always a good sign, and they are superb. The animations themselves, I mean, the amount of work that they've put. Each one of these characters has their own mechanics, they have their own specials. You can literally make a choice early on in the game on which one you enjoy playing the most, and then play that character for pretty much the rest of the game. For me, I mean, what you quite like Ms. Marvel, don't you?
Yep, I like Miss Marvel. I like off the other characters just went out from my head here. The other character, she just went out from my head.
Black Widow.
Black Widow. Yes, I like Black Widow as well. I like the fast, sort of nimble characters.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun. I think Thor is getting a lot of love as well. Uh, I'm actually going to be putting up a video later today, Touchwood, and an article. There, this isn't affecting everybody, but it's affecting some people. That the game isn't running too well on 4K. It seems to be really, really hit and miss. If you're playing in 4K, there's some people it's saying it's absolutely running fine without a hitch. Other people, it's actually very, very jerky, and it doesn't look too good. So my advice for people, if you're having issues with any, it doesn't look too good and you're just not happy with the performance, we've covered this on the show before, drop it down to balance mode on Stadia, and then go into the settings on Avengers and move it up to high resolution mode, and that's the perfect mix if you're having issues in the 4K mode.
Yeah, because we discussed this last night, and it did seem to be the case that if you bought the deluxe version, you were having those issues that Duncan just mentioned. I mean, I bought the cheap version because I'm cheap, and I think Holtz, who's on the same show, also bought the Friday release, the lower price one, and neither of us had the issues mentioned. I've been playing it now for some hours, and I've been playing on 4K. It's been absolutely fine for me. So it is possible, if you bought the deluxe version, that there's something in there that's causing an issue. I'd be interesting, chat, to know if you bought, which version you bought, and whether you've been having any issues at 4K as well. But like Duncan said, if you drop it down to the lower graphic setting in your app, not the game itself, because you can only go between 4K and 60 frames per second. And if you drop to 60 frames per second, the frame rate looks amazing, but visually it's not great. So yeah, I'll be keen to know how many of you guys have had any issues. As I say, it seems to be between deluxe versus non-deluxe. Right, so at the end of the day, we both render our scores to you, panel, and the final scares are this. Rokk, that's me, acting in the role of pro subscriber, I gave it 21, and Duncan in the role of free subscriber, only slightly behind me on 20. So that definitely puts it, I think anything that's in the 20s puts it into the recommended Rokk review game for casual gamers, busy people, and those new to Stadia. Anything more you'd like to say on Marvel Avengers before we move along?
Yeah, just looking at the chat here, Wodok he's got the deluxe version as well, and he seems to have an issue, so it does maybe look like it's a deluxe version. He hasn't had the full patch or something as yet, so I think we are maybe narrowing it down to where the issues may be. Maybe the deluxe version just needs a wee quick look at on Stadia.
It's odd because you know, I know there are some additional cosmetic bits and pieces, but I guess it could potentially be a fork, which is why it requires there may be, you know, a little tiny piece of code in there as far as Stadia is concerned that just causes that issue. But I'd be keen to know any of you guys that have bought the standard edition. That was the phrase I've been looking for the last 10 minutes. Whether you've had those same problems or whether you've had a smooth ride with it. I suspect it's looking likely that if it's the deluxe version, you may be looking forward to a patch in the near future, which of course you won't even notice happened on Stadia. Duncan, thank you very much for that. There's another vote there for the deluxe version having an issue, so I suspect that's definitely what we're looking at. Shall we move